Greetings, mutton cuppers. I've moved on from Vigo to Santiago de Compostela. What a lovely evening it is tonight. But that does not stop mutton tours, it never does. Because in this vlog, I'm going to show you, after all the fish and seafood we've had, 5 meat dishes that you should try in Galicia. So this is today's restaurant, the Centralia. I've heard good things about the place. I've heard particularly good things about the quality of their meat. And tonight, hopefully, our first dish, and obviously the rest of the history and the dishes are coming tomorrow, the mighty chuletón, the ox chop. These steaks are quite big, so I'm not going to have anything else with it, just a meaty red wine, a Ribera del Duero. Well, we have it, the little beauty. Poco hecho for rare, muy poco hecho for really rare. Poco hecho is more like medium well, and a su punto for medium. And if you want to know what well done is, sorry, you've got to look that up yourselves. I'm salivating already because Rubia Gallega is probably the best beef you can get in the whole of Europe, not just Spain. So whilst we're waiting, better have a slurp. Oh, and isn't that beautiful? In fact, the waitress came and said to me when I said poco hecho, "What do you mean by poco hecho? Do you mean sort of really rare as opposed to just rare?" I said, "Yeah, really rare." I knew I was in the right place when she started asking questions like that. And, of course, as always, served with the ubiquitous Glasgow salad. And, as always, a quick close-up of the meat. Lovely, isn't it? For me, that is just perfect. Any more than that, we're getting into overcooked territory. But this is beautiful, really beautiful. And I must add that the best cuts of meat and steak always have a little bit of fat about them. I don't eat all the fat, trim a lot of it off, but some fat is good. If you go for the leanest cut, which is rump steak, okay, less fatty, but less flavour in my opinion. As good as it was, I couldn't finish it all, so there's quite a lot left. And befitting a meal for one, the really lovely Ribera del Duero was called Romantica. Ah, how fitting. But of course, if I didn't leave room for the bone, you'd be demanding I take a COVID test. No, I'd saved enough space for it, and don't throw this away, because this really is the best part of the meat. It's often overlooked, but it's something I look forward to, and I'm lucky enough to be usually sitting around in a group who let me have it. How lovely of them. And hey presto, a demolished bone, half a demolished steak. Wow, I could have licked my chops for hours after that, and I couldn't manage all of the wine either, but, as you'll see in a minute, I had a use for another glassful. And I'll also add that this mantra about eating everything on your plate is absolute rubbish, because at the moment, in the Western world at least, the problem is too much, not too little. Well, we had a bit of red wine left over, so let's enjoy a dessert that accompanies. Oh, look at that, just look at that. Anyway, on to the next one, that'll come tomorrow, because I can't eat all that and 4 other dishes in one day. Now for the second dish, we've moved to the old town. Of course, this is on a different evening, it's not so wet tonight, but at this time of night it's still quite a hive of activity. And of course, like every Spanish town, so many squares, plazas, and they do look after their architecture, so these places really do look nice, and look very nice at night because they're well illuminated. It's actually 11 o'clock at night, and you might find it a bit unusual that people are still eating. But 10 is kind of sort of normal dinner time in Spain, and you can easily get a table at 11, which is perfect for me because I like eating late. So I've ended up at a place called El Papatorio tonight, and we're going to try a couple more meat things that I know they're famous for because I came here last year and ate here, or was it 2 years ago. Of course, this is hidden down one of the little small alleyways of the old town of Santiago de Compostela, but let's head into El Papatorio. Can't wait to try their food. I know they do good meat here. So tonight we're going to have tapas, small plates, and one thing that this place is famous for is its venison meatballs. I had to order those. I had to order a scallop, even though it's not meaty, so you get a bonus dish, and the local sausage. Now, when I was last here a few years ago, I did come in here, so I know it's pretty good. The first thing I ordered arrived. It was a pincho, which is basically something on bread, with the local chorizo or soft, slightly spicy sausage, and a green pepper. And I can't remember the name of these peppers, but I have them at home, so I should know what they are. Piperas, that's what they are, piperas. A little vinegary and slightly spicy. And of course, back in the day, you could just go from bar to bar, having one or two of these and a glass in each bar and make a night out of it. So the pipara peppers are quite vinegary and sharp, so be aware of that if you order this. And the chorizo, as good as it gets. Quite a smoky flavour to this one. And of course, you can get chorizo all over Spain, so that doesn't count as one of the 5. So the wine I'm drinking is Mencía, which is quite similar to Bierzo, you know, your Spanish wine. It's quite a light grape, even though it's quite dark coloured. It's really suitable with these Iberian pork products. Cuts through the fat nicely, and of course it's local. And in Spain, never be afraid to order a glass of house wine. I know often in the UK you get served up with some horrendous plonk, but here you get decent stuff. And it's always served at the right temperature, or almost always. No exception here. So my next small dish has come, which is a vieira, or a scallop. And scallops usually are dressed with something here, and underneath you have mushrooms. And the sauce is like a seafood dressing, a seafood sauce. So for me this is a slightly unusual way of preparing and serving a scallop. Let's see how it tastes. Now, tomato, onion and garlic dressing is my favourite. This is pretty good as well. Needless to say, scallop, fresh. And actually the red wine doesn't pair too badly with it. I know it's an item of seafood and scallops and red are not the usual thing. So now the stuff we have come here for, the bomba del papatorio. This is a deep fried bomb stuffed with a meat called sforza. Now I'm guessing it means the Pope's bomb or something, but what it is filled with I can tell you. It is a diced marinated pork loin called sforza, which is very, very Galician. I thought I'd try it this way rather than having a big plate full of it with potatoes. So there you can see the interior. I'm not sure what the sauce is, but we're about to find out. The perils of eating one-handed means I have to take a big chunk full of this. I can see why they call it a bomba. It's an explosion of flavours in your mouth. You start off with the exterior and the deep fried potato, and when you go in, you get the spicy pork loin melting in your mouth along with that rich tomato sauce. Pretty ingenious. I can still taste the spice at the end as well. It's got a spicy finish, so we better have another slurp. So there we are. Now, if you want to try saucer, you can get a ration, which is like a portion of it in a lot of restaurants. But that is great, just having probably on its own going from place to place with a glass of wine or a beer. And it's a bit spicier than I thought it would be. I mean, I like spice and I like that, but be aware it is a bit spicy. And finally, the last dish, the meatballs, venison meatballs. I'd read about them here, never actually tried them. Not sure how local they are, but if they're one of the best dishes they do here, well, I really had to try them. So, the dish comes with a few potatoes and an interesting sauce. Didn't know what it was from the menu, so better check it out. A little bit different to the other tomato sauces is it's very rich and very garlicky. This one wasn't what I was expecting at all, but I loved it. Well, time now for the ultimate test, the taste of the meatball. Wow. Well, it's got a much heavier flavour than a normal meatball, which is usually made of pork and beef. Slightly surprising, but I suppose game can taste like that. Well, we've still got a bit of wine left. We'll finish that off. Great combination with the dishes, and have my last mouthful of the meatballs and that lovely garlicky sauce. And I'd have to say, I'd definitely order these again if I were here, probably with the same red wine. So that was really satisfying. Great value for money, good food, really tasty house wine. It was like €2.20 a glass. It was great. So given we've only had 3 of the 5 dishes we're going to feature, or 3 of the 5 meat items that we're going to feature, we'd better move on.